What is going on, guys? This is Versus All Gaming with my review of Noragami episode 12, and here we are. It's the final episode, and I gotta say, this series right here, from the beginning to the end, I loved it, and the ending as well, I was definitely liking it. Now, the ending, it was real cute, but this episode, we got so much action that the fight between Yato and Rabo, to me, it was pretty freaking good. I definitely enjoyed that, and the animation, it was definitely on point. So we see now that Rabo here, we see that the area that he's in is actually his shrine now, but as we can see, it's kind of like in ruins, and it's very run down. And he was saying that, even though this shrine of his is in this condition, he is still able to exist. And so that right there, made me wonder, why would he say that? Because to him, it sounds like that he's surprised right now to be alive. But we see that his shrine, I'm guessing at one point it was like really popular, and maybe because nobody makes these kind of like evil wishes anymore, that it died like this. And so we see that Yato, Hiyori, and Yukine, they all appear now, and the distance from where Rabo is to where Yato is, that right there was like pretty freaking far. But we see that they actually get there in an instant. And so now, of course, we have Yukine and Yato here. They're like freaking out because they're wondering why Hiyori's here. And Hiyori here is kind of like freaked out because she's wondering why the heck does she have a tail. But now that Rabo's here, of course they can't really waste time. And Yato does tell Hiyori to actually run. But we see that both of them get their regalia to transform, and of course we get their final confrontation. And the fight here at first, it did seem that they were kind of even, but at the same time you could tell that Rabo here was not really worried. And throughout the fight, he was trying to bring back the old Yato, who was like a killer. And of course, now we see that he changed so much. So of course, that he would not want to go back to the old way he was. But Rabo here was just so set on bringing that old Yato back. And so we see now that once again, Rabo does have a major advantage because he has all this water that he can use. And we see at one point he was actually able to trap Yato in like this kind of like water bubble. And we see that while Yato was inside of that, we see Yukine, start to be covered in his own blood. So I do wonder why that happened, because maybe he was like, suffocating, because of course they can't breathe inside the water. But luckily Hiyori actually came there and she was able to pull them out. And so of course now Rabo here notices that the reason that the old Yato won't come back is because he changed, and he feels that it's because of Hiyori. So when he actually goes to attack Hiyori, we have Yato here who actually throws Yukine to deflect the blade, and that right there was pretty awesome. But we see now that Yato grabs Hiyori's hand, and they start running, of course. And we see now that when he running away, he actually calls out to Yukine, who was actually in the ground. But when he called up, I believe the term is Seki. We see that the blade flies toward him. So it's like, no matter how far they are, if you could call out to him, the regalia will respond and return to his master. But now they try to hide, of course, because right now they can't beat Rabo, and Yato here actually wants Yukine and Hiyori to run away while he stays behind and give them time. And Yukine had a good point, because without him, how the heck Yato gonna fight? Because he needed a regalia, otherwise, he definitely lost. But we have Rabo, who definitely needs a way to bring back the old Yato, and he's coming with this plan. And so we see now that he now has the gem, or the jewel that has Hiyori memories, and we see now that he actually throws it. And of course, Yato wants that back, because that's the reason why he's fighting Rabo in the first place. But when he goes to catch it, we just see Rabo here swing a sword, and that right there cut the gem in half. And we see that when he does that, it causes Hiyori to pass out. And so now we see a side of Yato that we have not seen before, because this is the first time that he has ever been pissed off. And that right there was like freaking amazing. And so we see now with Hiyori unconscious, we see that, Yato here, kind of carries her off to some place where he can like set her up some. And he notices that her hand is like, it's like hurt. So he takes off his scarf, wraps it around her hand, and that right there, was like one of the key moments in this episode. And we see now that when he calls out to Yukine, we see now the serious side of Yato, and we see the one that Rabo here wanted so badly. Because out of nowhere, he just kicked the crap out of Rabo. That kick right there, it was impressive. Because it sent him flying, so freaking far, that he did not stop till he smashed into these rocks. So that right there was awesome. And so now we see, because these two gods of calamity are fighting, it's causing like this massive storm throughout the entire city. Like even the other gods are picking on this up. And so now we have Bishamon here, who actually went out there and was actually fighting, some of these phantoms that were like causing trouble. And of course, we see that they reused some of the earlier phantoms, rather than showing us new ones. Because I remember like the snake one that we saw like in episode 1, and also the frog one. They made some reappearance, and of course Bishamon was out there taking them all. And I do know that she has like a lot of regalias, and I get that most of them are her clothes as well. But I was hoping for like more like her weapon types, because so far we've seen only a pistol and a whip. So maybe she has more weapon ones that we didn't see. But I feel that with her having so many regalias, she can use them for other things besides clothes. But now back to the Rabo and Yato fight. We see now that at this point, Yato here is definitely going to win, because there is no way Rabo here can compete with him, especially after that kick. But we see now that they go back and forth, and we see at one point we actually see Rabo here, kind of like chant to some spell, or he like says disenchantment, and we see now that that's the reason he was wearing that sun visor or blocker, whatever you want to call it. But the reason he was like wearing that is because he actually does not have an eye, and we see that he actually absorbed the storm and like mixed with these phantoms. And it actually, gives him an eye. And even though, it looked very cool, it was creepy seeing that eye, kind of like move around some on his own. That right there was creepy. But now we have both of them on their A game, and we see that this enhanced version of Rabo, it can now kind of compete with Yato and even overpower him, because we see at one point from a Rabo attack, he had made all these rocks start to fall, and they were actually going to crush Hiyori. So Yato here had to act quickly, and he actually shielded Hiyori with his body. I believe that from the way Yukine was, he was actually supporting these rocks from falling onto them. And so now we actually go into Hiyori mind, and even though she should not remember Yato, even know anything about him, we see now that she is slowly breaking Nora's spell, because we see now that she actually picks up on this smell that it's very familiar to her, and she actually calls it her favorite. And so now we see that even though we're inside her mind, her body is now acting on her emotions, and we see that she actually wraps her arms around Yato. And so now when she opens her eyes, we see that she had broken Nora's spell completely, and she had got her memories back, and that right there was just so freaking touching. I love how the episode, had those feels in it, and also had, a ton of action as well. That right there, it's just a good setup for an amazing finale. And so now that she remembers, of course, Yato here, he's rather glad, and he actually gets a little too happy, as he was cuddling into her, and we just see Hiyori here kind of get a little bit angry, and she actually attacks with one of those MMA moves. And so that right there was really funny, because I thought that moment should be really touching, but in fact they took a calming route with it. That right there, which is hilarious. But now we see Rabo here. He's very upset, and even Nora, she was also upset as well, because she was surprised that Hiyori actually broke the spell on her own, because I'm pretty sure none of them were ever expecting that. But it seems now that Rabo here really wants to get rid of Hiyori, as he actually take hold of her, thanks to his water power. And he was planning on absorbing her, because she is half phantom, so I'm pretty sure he could do that if he wanted to. But Yato here got serious again, and he actually, left it to Yukine to actually take him down. And so we see now that he actually uses that, I'm guessing it like a power or a skill, the whole Ren thing. And we see now that when Rabo here actually tried to attack him with the water, we have Yato, counter that. And of course, Yukine can cut really good. They have pointed that out early in the series. So not only does Yukine cut through the water, but he also cut past Rabo as well. And he actually, cut that tree that was part of a part of his shrine. So now we see that Rabo here, he lets go of Hiyori, and we see now that apparently when he yelled out to Yato, he was screaming out a wish that Yato here actually picked up on. So after like one final confrontation, we see now that Rabo here, he finally went down, and we actually learned that he was like maintaining this form for after 500 years by a curse, and he was saying that this right here is the fate of the gods of calamity. Like they are going to be cut down one day, and Rabo here was saying that rather than going down by the people that forgot him, he'll rather go down by the one person that actually knew him. So that right there was the reason why he wanted to fight Yato so badly, so he could have his one friend or the one person that like really knew and cut him down. And we see now that Yato really does not like the idea of those two being alike, so he was always denying that. But we see now that after they left, we have to see Nora. She picks up that little broken mask that like Rabo was wearing, and she was saying that she should go report to her father. And that right there, kind of surprised me, because I'm thinking, who the heck her father would be? Because I mean, she is Regalia, so that means that there's a father of all Regalias, or maybe there's like one master, Nora, that's out there that controls the other one. I'm not really sure how that works, but I do wonder, was that hinting like a season 2? Because why would they bring up this like whole father concept now at the end? But we see that Yukine, Hiyori, and Yato, they're all walking along the bridge that we've seen before. And Hiyori here, Yukine here was asking Hiyori if she really remembered them. And of course, she said yes. And she was also, and Yukine here was like wondering, how did she remember them? And so Hiyori was like almost slipped up and told them they were because of Yato's sin. But of course, she was going to deny that. And so she like played it off. But Yato here actually told them that she should cut their ties. And of course, that was no way that was gonna happen. And so now we go to Kofuku and Daifuku's house, and we see now that Hiyori definitely does not want to part ways with Yato. She was saying that she wants to be with them forever, and we have those two, kind of thinking that like these two are a couple, which to me will like make a lot of sense at this point. But we see now that Hiyori here actually gave Yato 5 cents. Or 5 yen, you could say, so that that wish can happen. So now we have these three together forever, and that was there. I'm really glad about. And also, it's definitely important to know that when Rabo died, every other god sensed that. So it goes to show you like the impact it has on the gods, like in this world, because when one dies, they all sense it. And it's funny though, like how beautiful the city look, after Rabo died. I kind of feel like that they stepped up the animation with that, like for that scene right there. But overall, Noragami, it was an amazing series. Like I said, I loved it from beginning to end. So I am definitely glad that I did decide to review this for you all. Now I do know that Rabo is an anime-only character, and I'm not sure if we are going to get a season 2 or not. But what I'm thinking is, because I like Noragami so much, I might start reviewing the manga. So I am gonna start reading that. But the thing is, I'm not really sure where the anime, kind of went different from the manga. I would imagine that it was to the point that we first saw Rabo, because I do think that Nora is an anime and manga character. So I believe the Rabo thing was like different. But I'll read the manga. So if you guys do want me to start reviewing that, let me know, because I gladly will. But for this being the final review for the animation, please like the video and subscribe. You guys have no idea how much that'll help me out. But as always, you guys take it easy. I will see you all next time.